Okay, everybody. Hello, 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 and welcome to the presentation. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Appreciate you being here. Howdy. That's what we say in Kentucky. In Kentucky. You too can live here, by the way, in Kentucky, where we go to family reunions to meet our future husbands and wives. It's true, but we don't judge. We don't judge. And apparently with the trolling that's on TikTok right now, perhaps maybe they're from Kentucky as well. All right. So, folks, I appreciate you all being here. It is Friday. It is Friday. Hey, look, we got to have a good time. It's a Friday. Come on. Come on. All right. Kentucky is pretty cool. It's a cool state. Really, it is. It's a cool state. I don't have a problem with Kentucky. Okay. So everybody listen, I'm Bishop James Long, and I appreciate you being here. Happy Friday to you. Hopefully wherever you are, you're having a good day. That's the most important thing. You're having a good day. And that's what we're going to do here today. We're going to have a fun presentation. Now, before we do this, Mr. Producer, can you roll that fine footage?
Fans of Bishop James Long, the renowned exorcist and paranormal expert on KGRA digital broadcasting. Now you can carry his wisdom with you. Our Bishop James Long collection features blessed apparel such as Saint Benedict hats and tees, as well as home items to protect and inspire. Elevate your spiritual journey. Go to kgradb.com/shop and discover the Bishop James Long merch today.
All right, everybody. So there we go. So moderators, if you could do me a favor, go ahead and put that in there in the chat room. That way people can know where to go of our sponsors' websites. And we appreciate that very, very much. Moderators, or do we have any moderators in the chat room? Or I don't think we have any moderators in the TikTok chat room. I think they've all left. I think they said, we're done with this. We're done. We're done with it. We're done with the crazy. Yeah, that's there, but we don't have any. I don't think we have any moderators right now. And there we go. Now I see. Yeah, I see your comment here. So now TikTok has even taken that away. Wow. So now we can't even put that on TikTok. I'm not seeing it. All right. So go to KGRADB and click on the show link and click on my name. All right. Boy, they're just getting rough. Anyway, just make sure you do that and purchase all the items that you can. Nope. They are, you can't include a dot whatever because they will not allow it. They are just, God, they're getting rough. But if you want to go to my website, if you want to go to my site, it's Bishop James Long, my name. And, well, moderators, go ahead and put that on there as well. And what I like for you to do is scroll down because I made a brand new book. I have a brand new book out. I wrote it. It's over 260 pages. It is Bishop Long's Paranormal Investigators Training Manual. Very cool book. By the way, for the hater gators out there saying, I knew you were doing this all for money. Okay, let me go slower so that you can understand English. 100% of the profits from my book that I wrote, I am donating 100% to the MKS Kids Foundation. They are an orphanage in Uganda that we are partnering with. They are a nonprofit organization. They are registered with the government. They are an actual beautiful organization that's truly we're making a huge difference in these children's lives. I'll tell you that now. So it's my book. It's my work. If I had to sell 1 million books, I have every right to earn every single penny because it's my work. I have chosen to donate all the proceeds to them. And we as a community have all decided to kind of promote it so that they can get the income. And so I have friends from all walks of life. But let me just say this. Someone's asking, what do you think about pagans? Let me say this. It is interesting. Do you know that most of the people who come in here and condemn me to hell are self-proclaimed Christians? Most of the people, I say 99% of the people who come in here and say, oh, you're a fake bishop, or you're not a real this, or you're not they're self-proclaimed Christians. Very rarely do I have pagans come in here harassing me. Very rarely. Let that sink in. You know, that moment where Jesus said, don't judge. You know, why are you pointing out the plank in someone else's eye when, you know, you got basically a gigantic board in yours? You know, it's disgusting. It really is disturbing. But again, they're not Christians. So they're cosplaying Christians. So, all right. Yeah. So anyway, I have friends from all walks of life. I appreciate every single one of them. And they have from all kinds of faiths, all faiths, even to agnostic, even atheist. And one thing that they never do is they never come in and harass. They always respect the fact that we have a right to believe in what we wish without being judged or condemned. But for some reason, it's very difficult for some people because they are the worst when it comes to judging. I mean, it's bad. And well, ask our moderators. They're here all the time. They'll tell you 100%. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay. By the way, we have night prayer coming up. Don't forget at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And hopefully you'll join us. You'll be with us. You'll stay with us. We would love for you to do that. But anyway, please purchase the book. All kidding aside, 100% of the profits is going to the MKS Kids Foundation. And we are really, really, I think our community has just rallied behind them. And we're making really a huge difference. And that, I think, by itself is worth every effort that we put into it. And so there we go. All right. And if you want to go to, you can go to the church's website. Don't forget again. And that's where it is. So we can't mention it on TikTok. You just have to post it there, moderators. And don't forget, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have night prayer where we pray for one another. So, by the way, for those of you who are on TikTok, if you want us to pray for your prayer petition, you need to go to my TikTok profile right now, and you need to place your prayer petitions in the video for tonight's night prayer. You got to do that by 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. Okay, it has to be in by 8 p.m. and then we'll pray for your prayer petition. Okay. Oh, DMC can't be a normal human being. See, that's what I'm saying. I'm telling you, Christians, self-proclaimed Christians, are some of the worst human beings. They are just, it's vulgar. It is vulgar. But that's sad. That is sad. And that kind of lets you know that they're clout Christians. 100%. 100%. They're not real Christians. They're cosplaying. Hail Mary Bishop. Yeah, what about Hail Mary? Well, that's more theological. We're going to get into our paranormal show. But for those of you who keep saying the Hail Mary is not biblical, obviously you have not read Scripture. If you've actually read Scripture, then you would know Luke chapter 1, verse 28 says, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. If you read Luke chapter 1, verse 41 and 42, it says, Blessed art thou amongst women. If you look at Luke chapter 1, verse 42, Blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. If you read Luke chapter 1, verse 43, Hail Mary, Mother of God. If you read Luke chapter 2, verse 35, and John chapter 2, verse 5, it says, pray for us sinners now at the hour of our death. Amen. So for those of you that continue to disrespect Mary and say that the Hail Mary is not biblical, I just gave you the verses. And also, it's interesting because demons really don't like when you start praying the Hail Mary. They really don't like when you start praying the Rosary. Okay. I'm just saying. If you have that much of an objection to the Blessed Mother, you might want to talk to me later. My rosary that I pray often. Okay. Anyway, before we rudely interrupted. All right. So anyway, that's little information about the Hail Mary. All right, let's get into our presentation for tonight, everybody. And moderators, if the chat is too rude or too nasty or too disrespectful on TikTok, because it always is, let me know and I'll put sub chat on. That'll be it. So just let me know. And if it's too much, because we got quite a few people in here, if it's too much, I'm just going to put sub chat on. I'm just giving you heads up right now, TikTok. If you can't behave like a normal human being, I'm putting sub chat on, and you got to go someplace else. You know. So, Well, we'll wait till let's see if our moderators can keep up. If our moderators can keep up. Okay. Jack says, no, we gotta. Jack says, got the blocking gloves on. All right. Well, just let me know if it gets too bad. If it gets too bad, we're done. Okay, here we go. I want to talk about a topic that a lot of people, are you sure God didn't have many children? We are all God's children. So, barren women of the Bible, not the, for crying out loud. Really? You know what? Shoo, troll. Shoo. Now we're saying God came down and had children. We don't need to do a paranormal show. We could just show some of the comments. I mean, that's paranormal right there. I mean, that is like, whoo, man. Boy, some of the... Okay. All right. We're going to talk about the apparition of the monks of Bellinzona. All right. Bellinzona. It's going to be an interesting conversation. A lot of people have never heard about this, but this is a true story. And that's what makes this even more crazy. So wherever you are, turn down the lights, settle deep into your chair, and let the darkness around you drift inward. Trolls, you don't have to do this because the darkness is already in you. But tonight I will take you to a place of old stone and ancient packs, to a chilling event that even today still sends shivers in the shadow of history. It's the mysterious apparitions of the monks in Bellinzona. So this is a tale of shalom, of faith and fear, vows sealed in silence, whispers from beyond time. Imagine first the city of Bellinzona. So it's high in the Alpine foothills of Ticino, Switzerland, where walls of fortress and castles that looms, like guardians against the cold. And so picture the dusk arriving in Bellinzona, the red gold light, fading behind the jagged ridges of the mountains, the three castles, beautiful castles, standing sentinel above the narrow valley. And in those walls is carved centuries of war, prayer, and of stone, made sacred by the passing of monks and even soldiers. This is in Bellinzona. This is in Switzerland. So now walk with me down a lesser known corner. It's a monastic precinct of cloister that once rang with the sound of habited men, monks, in deep prayer, and their steps echoing in cloister arches and their voices rising in chant before dawn and even after dusk. So the stones themselves remember. So imagine the cold flagstones, beneath your boots, the thick wooden doors, the scent of incense, long since lit. And yet people still claim when they go to this monastery, they can smell the incense. Now that's kind of special considering the fact it is here in this very, very somber precinct that the event that we're going to examine unfolded. The sudden emergence of ghostly monks moving in processional silence. Their hoods, they were drawn low. Their robes, they were rustling across the ancient floors. Yep, I have. Their eyes unseen, yet their presence intensely felt. So for those of you who are new, I'm doing a lecture right now, so I'm not answering questions. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Now, I want to take you to a place that most people have never heard of. It sits in the narrow valley in southern Switzerland. It's a medieval city, really, of Bellinzona. It's a beautiful, old, surrounded by mountains that seem to almost breathe in the fog. I've seen pictures of this and even videos. It is stunning. The mountains are huge. The fog comes in because it's in a valley, and you see this. It is really stunning. Very similar to Geneva. But beneath its beauty lies a strange story, a story that locals, they whisper about, but they don't really explain much about it. So they say that sometimes when the mist gets really thick, the night just goes quiet. Some claim that you can hear even your own blood moving in your ears. You might also hear something else too. Low, steady chanting. Footsteps where no one should be. And then if you look, really look, locals will say that you might see them. The monks. The ones that have long been since deceased. See, for centuries, people have claimed that monks appear on the ruined grounds of Bellinzona's ancient monastery. Silent, hooded figures walking in procession. And some say they bless the valley. Others say they're still paying for something they did long ago. And this is the apparitions of the monks of Bellinzona. And it's one of the oldest and most chilling supernatural events in Swiss history. I recently actually had a conversation with a clergy friend of mine that's in Switzerland, and I asked, he lives close to Bellinzona, and I asked, had he ever heard of this story? He said, everyone knows of the story. Everybody. It's not a secret. And I asked him, well, since you've heard of it, do you believe it? He said, there's far too many people that experiences occurrences even now today to dismiss it. So it's a narrow valley of Bellinzona, Switzerland. It's a place where mountains rise like walls against the sky. I encourage you to look it up. They're beautiful. Faith and fear once met beneath the cloisters of ancient monastery. The story you're about to hear is one that history has almost forgotten about. It's an apparition that haunted the city's hearts for centuries, still does today. And so witnesses claim to see monks who have long been deceased walking again by moonlight, and their chants echoing through the empty corridors of stone. Some say they were protectors. Others swore that they were a warning. But every account, every trembling word left behind shares one thing: the monks were real. And guys, I'll get your questions after the presentation. Let me do this presentation first for those of you who are new, and then I'll answer your questions. But for those of you who are new here, this is what we've been doing for years. I always do a lecture, a presentation. I don't just look in the camera and say, okay, what do you want to talk about? I actually do a presentation every Friday, and then I'll answer your questions, okay? Keep in mind, I have a lot of chats open, so it's not directed at one person. There's a lot of people asking questions. I'll get to your questions afterwards. All right. So the old monastery, it sat on the edge of town. It was built into the slope beneath castle ground, and one of the three castles that still tower over Bellinzona. So back then, it was quiet. Stone walls, cold corridors, a courtyard with a single fountain in the center. So the last records of the monastery date to the 1400s, right around the time that the war broke out between the Swiss Confederates and the Duchy of Milan. And after that, the records, they just stop. No mention of what happened to the monks. No fire, no plague, no closure, just blank pages. And decades later, townsfolk began reporting strange sounds from the empty ruins. And soon after that, people started seeing them, the monks. They started seeing them walking through their cloister, carrying candles that didn't burn with normal light. I mean, if you picture Bellinzona at dusk, the fortress walls rise above the narrow streets. The air smells of rain and iron, And from the valley below, the monastery sits in like a half shadow, its courtyard filled with silence. So the story goes that one night, no records give the exact date, unfortunately, but it was in the darker years of the Middle Ages. Several local townsmen, perhaps, they were workers returning late from the fields or travelers seeking lodging, saw figures in the corridor of the monastery. Well, it's a monastery. They didn't really think much about it. At first, they thought it was just, the monks coming to prayer. But something was wrong. The light in the corridor was dim. And the figures, they say, moved with unnatural stillness. And their chant, when it rose, was hollow. They said echoing unnaturally long between the arches. One witness, it was a young gardener. And we're going to go into deeper because I dug up more information, what they reported, their diaries. One witness is a young gardener named Matteo. And he reported that the air turned colder as the figures passed. And that there was a low humming vibration that he could feel even in the bottom of the soles of his feet, like a distant bell ringing inside his chest. And so he paused, and then the shape of the nearest figure was distinct. He described it as a tall monk in habit, his cowl pulled low, and his right hand raised in a blessing like this. And his face was pale, gaunt, eyes sunken deep like in their sockets, and the corners of his mouth drawn upward in a faint, like sorrowful smile. And as they passed the cloister's open archway, the moonlight shined on their habits. Though there was no moon at the time, the gardener heard the whisper, "We come again." So the words were faint, they lingered, and he fled in terror back to the town. Okay, others followed later. Moderators, just remind people that I'm not answering questions until after the presentation. I've kind of mentioned this already 10 times. So I'm going to turn chat off if it continues because it's distraction. So just chill. Anyway, some said the monks formed a circle. Well, what happened, others followed later. And drawn by the same pathway, they too described the figures. So it wasn't just the gardener. Some said the monks formed a circle around the central fountain in the courtyard, and their voices rising and falling like waves. And the water rippled through the stone. It was still. So one brave soul put a hand on the fountain and felt the chill. They said the chill of death's cold fingers brushed his palm. And since then, the chapel door has sometimes opened at midnight, despite being locked. You can't go in there. The echo of footfalls was wandered the corridor where rains were heavy, the wind was still. And even today, the locals say if you walk past the cloister wall on a moonless night, you may see the flicker of a candle inside. The monastery is abandoned. Now, local archives mention a cloister there in the 1400s. But what was strange, as I mentioned, the records just end abruptly with no explanation. There's no fire. There's no war. There was no formal closure. It just went silent. One of the earliest alleged witnesses was Sister Benedita, a lay sister. She wrote around 1510, and her words were later found in an old covenant ledger. Whether her mind was touched by faith or exhaustion or maybe something older, we don't know. But her letter marked the very beginning of 5 centuries later. Her entry, now preserved in a faded collection of monastery letters, this is what she wrote. She says, and this is a quote, I'm reading directly from the letter. "The night was without moon. I walked the lower hall to fetch water for the infirmary, and I heard singing, a low, hollow chant, though all the brothers were at rest. When I entered the corridor, I saw them, a line of monks in black habit, heads bowed, walking toward the chapel. She said it was dark, but I heard voices, low men's voices chanting, and I thought the brothers had risen early. When I turned, I saw 6 or 7 of them moving through the passage. I called out, but they didn't answer. Their heads were covered, their robes were gray, and I remember thinking, why do their feet make no sound? Then one of them turned toward me. His face was pale, no eyes, just hollows. His eyes were deep hollows, but I felt warmth, like the breath of a prayer upon my cheek. When I crossed myself, made the sign of the cross, they vanished. I dropped the bucket and ran. I have not slept since. Centuries later, stories spread among townsfolk who lived near the ruins, and the cloister bells, long removed, by the way. So the bells removed. But the townspeople say that they hear tolling in stormy weather. They can hear the monastic bells that are no longer there during stormy weather. The air even turns cold, even in summer nights sometimes. And one of the most compelling accounts came from Matteo Rinaldi, and he was the gardener in 1624. And his letter to a parish priest, it survives only in fragments, unfortunately, but the handwriting is clear. You can see. So this is what he wrote. This is fascinating when you dig up deeper and you're like, what is it that they're seeing? It says, I don't know what I saw. I was walking home from the orchard, and there was a fog thick as milk. I heard singing. That kind that crawls up your spine. I turned and saw lights like candles moving down the hill. But they weren't right. They floated too high off the ground, and the smoke went straight up, not sideways. Then I saw them, monks, maybe 10 of them, walking slow. I could see their robes, everything. But their faces, they were white, like paper. I just froze. When they got close, the air went cold. I could see my breath. I swear I heard one whisper my name. I saw torches, 6, perhaps 7, floating where no wind could burn a flame. Behind them, monks in procession moved through the courtyard, not walking, no, but gliding, their robes dragging softly on the stones. One raised his hand as if to bless me, and he said, I tried to kneel, but my legs refused, and then they passed. I smelt something, wet earth and incense. The air froze. I found frost upon the stones through the night, though the night was warm. This to me is fascinating because what a lot of people don't know about, I'm a Benedictine monk. So I took vows 23 years ago, and I have been a Benedictine monk ever since. And for me, I'll tell you a story about a monastery that I studied with the Benedictines. And there was one time that it was kind of spooky. And I'll tell you that a little bit later. Okay, but after that night, Matteo fled the monastery, never returned. And the later was found years hidden beneath the altar. Now, in 1693, a woodcutter named Antonio Gaspar was caught in a storm in the slope above Bellinzona, and he took shelter near the old monastery walls. And later he told this story to as many townspeople as he could. Thank you very much. Okay. No, I don't like makeup. No, I don't have makeup on. The eyes, you like my eyes? I don't have eyeliner. No. But thank you for looking. Eyes up here. Okay. Eyes up here. All right. What are you going to do? Okay. It says here, this is what he tells people. And this was a letter that he also wrote. It said, I was sitting under the archway trying to keep dry. And then I heard boots on the stones, real slow. I thought it was a soldier, but it wasn't. It was a monk walking with his head down, then another behind him and another. They kept coming, maybe 15 of them. All of their hands folded. I said, brothers, but they didn't move. Then one looked up. His eyes were black, like holes. He opened his mouth, says, I swear I heard a sound, but it wasn't words, more like a moan, deep hollow. I ran, and when I looked back, they were gone. Now, it's interesting with this one. He actually heard their feet. The other people are saying that it's almost like they glide, that you don't hear their feet. Now, it is also interesting, especially with monks and also with the sisters, when you're in a monastic setting or in a convent setting and you are in formation, if you will, to like the chapel, your eyes and your head should be bowed so that your focus is strictly no longer on each other. Because the strict belief was if you're looking at, you're making eye contact with one another, then you're not focusing on God. You're not focusing on your faith. It distracts you. So the head is always should be bowed, looking down, focusing in on prayer. And it's interesting that every single one of them described their heads bowed, which is that would absolutely be the appropriate way for the monks at the time, which I found very interesting. But in his case, he actually heard the noises of the feet on the cobblestone. Well, by the way, he passed away a few weeks later after that experience from pneumonia. Some say he was never really right after that. That really affected him. There was a soldier's account during the Napoleonic Wars around 1800. Swiss militia, they were stationed in the valley. Well, thank you. And one night, a young guard named Johann Keller, he wrote in the logbook, and this is what the logbook says: midnight patrol, fog over the wall again, heard chanting from the ruins. Sergeant sent me to check. As I approached, saw shapes moving in the cloister, looking like monks in robes. I thought maybe pilgrims, but when I called out, they didn't answer. They walked straight through a wall that had been sealed for years. Sergeant told me not to mention it again. By the way, that log still exists in the Bellinzona Small Military Museum. That's fascinating. Let's take a break. Let's stop here for a moment. I want you to imagine this. Imagine standing alone in the courtyard at midnight. Fountains silent. Statues worn. The air is still. And then you hear footsteps. Slow, deliberate, approaching from behind. You don't look, but you sense a presence. A figure stands right beside you. You smell incense. And the figure raises his hand as if he's going to bless, and you realize the face of this person is death pale, hollowed, the eyes empty. And you turn to run, but your feet stick to the stones, and the figure's voice whispers, "We keep our vigil." I mean, obviously, anybody would have to catch your breath after this. And then the figure fades into mist. You're alone again, and the chill remains. And you hear one last thing. The bells of the tower toll 9 times. Though you are nowhere near the tower, the last bell sounds and stops, silence. This is what many people say they experience when they go to these locations. And that, to me, that in of itself is pretty crazy. Let me find something. 1 second. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to see if I can find this. Yes. So this gives you an example of what it looked like. That way I can kind of show you. And so bear with me. Let me do this for you so you guys can see it. Because I think when you see it, it gives you a different perspective. Okay. And the walls, when I talk about the walls, I'm going to show you what the walls look like too. Because I'm a visual learner. And okay, let me show you guys. So this would be the monastery. Okay. Now, this is a different view. Okay. And then when it talks about how it's almost claustrophobic in the walls, there you go. See, that's when you talk about the people they walk in this area and they hear the monks chanting and the fog. What it does is the fog goes in between these walls, comes down and come up. So you can see where that in of itself would be spooky. And a lot of people say that they can hear, especially this. Let's see if I can find one other thing. One second. I'll show you if I can find it. Okay. Well, I can't find it now, but I mean, here's a part of it. Oh, crud. That's not going to let me do it. No. Hold on, everybody. Well, I'll just let you see that. So it's a neat place, but you can see how it's kind of sits in the valley there. And I can understand how people would be kind of frightened. This is in Bellinzona. So a lot of people say that they experience this. Now, obviously, you got to catch your breath. I mean, imagine if you're walking through this and you see the fog going down and you can hear monks. Well, that could be frightening for anybody. But the hauntings, by the way, did not end with Matteo. In 1751, a Swiss watchman named Luca Meyer, he actually wrote a testimony for the records there after he and his son witnessed something very, very similar. See, his words were plain, almost clinical. Perhaps maybe that makes it worse, but this is what he says. The old cloister wall, where I showed you, near Castle Grande, is where it began. We heard chanting, Latin, or something like it. Then a group of figures appeared, heads covered, walking the ridge of the wall itself. The boy thought it was a trick of the mist, but when one stopped and looked down, I saw his face. And he says, look, I'm not saying I believe in ghosts. I was working. It was cold. My boy was with me. We heard something like singing, but not really. It had a rhythm to it. We turned the corner and saw 4 men walking by the wall, wearing long robes. Looked like monks, but they didn't have faces, just pale skin, smooth like wax. The boy started crying. I yelled, and they stopped. Then they just kept walking. Right through the gate. No sound, nothing. He had no mouth, only a line where one should be. And when he raised his hand, I felt my chest tighten. My heart slowed. My breath left me as if I had been blessed and damned in the same instant. Authenticity can't be normal human being. So Luca lived another 10 years, but never went near the old wall again. And his neighbors said that he spoke in whispers for the rest of his life, even when no one was listening. I mean, imagine standing there in the monastery ruins spread before you, the night deep and thick silent with fog, and your candle flickers. The air is completely still, and then a sound. Footsteps, measured and slow. Oh, congratulations, you can spell. Hooked on Phonics worked for you. Okay, the scrape. Sorry, oh no, you can block that idiot. Yeah, go ahead and block him. Yeah, we don't want that demonically oppressed person here. Yeah. Okay, there we go. The scrape sandals against stone. Good. You turn, and there they are. A procession of monks, robes gray in the moonlight, and their faces hidden. Their chant rolls like thunder underwater. And you can't make out words, but you feel them. Your heart beats in rhythm. And with their hymn. People say you try to breathe, but the air feels too heavy. And then one stops. It's interesting because most everybody say that when they have this encounter, one of them will stop. They look at you. In that instant, the chant stops. And sometimes they will offer a blessing. And they all describe as a silence being deafening. I've read many, I've known about this case for many years. And I have read so many alleged encounters. But one that really stands out to me is, forgive me for I have trolled. Okay, well, good. Well, don't troll anymore, because if you troll, you're telling people you're not a Christian. Because if you truly have the Holy Spirit within you, you don't troll another human being. You simply don't. A person who truly accepts Christ and has the Holy Spirit within them, they don't troll another person. They don't try to use their words to hurt other people. They use their words to lift people up, not break them down. Okay. So, I've read, let me share this one. This one account that I read came from, it was 1899. And it came from a traveling painter. His name was Carl Brenner. His diary, by the way, was discovered decades later. It was tucked inside a hollow in the old monastery wall. And here's what the diary read. It says, I came to Bellinzona seeking inspiration from the Alps at dusk. Instead, I found terror. I painted the courtyard by lantern. And when I looked up, I saw rows of monks stood beside me. I did not hear them approach. I blinked, and they were closer. Their robes did not move, yet I saw the fabric ripple as though breathing. One placed his hand upon my shoulder. It was cold as stone, and then they were gone. And when I looked at my canvas, I saw something that I had not painted. Even 7 dark figures rendered in perfect detail. By the way, it's interesting because the painting was later destroyed by fire. The cause? Spontaneous combustion. That's crazy. Now, so why Bellinzona? Why there? Yeah, this is a true story. These are true stories. So historians point to the 15th century. Years of war between the Swiss Confederates and the Duchy of Milan. So the monks of Bellinzona, a legend says, sheltered soldiers during the conflict. But when invaders came, the monastery refused to surrender the wounded. Allegedly, according to history, every monk was then unalived. The records, by the way, the records say they died praying. But the townsfolk there say they never stopped praying. So in the early 1900s, a Jesuit scholar named Father Domenico Arpini, he collected testimonies from villagers who still heard chanting from the ruins. And in his private notes that's stored now in the Vatican archive, he writes, their chant begins when storms gather over the valley. It grows stronger at midnight, then fades with the first bell of dawn. It is no demon's choir. It is penance stretched across centuries. And he ends his letter with a single line. They keep watch so that we may sleep. He passed away 9 months later, within months later, unknown causes. In the 1970s, the site was partially excavated. A crypt was discovered beneath the monastery floor, sealed with iron bands. Inside, they found 7 skeletal remains. Each skull had a small iron cross nailed to the crown. The archaeologist logged the find, but closed the chamber again. One of them, his name was Professor Lenz, gave an interview years later about it, and he spoke softly, reluctant, but his eyes said what his mouth would not say. He said, "We heard it before we broke the seal." A low tone, vibrating, like a hum. It grew louder the closer we came to this, and when the door opened, the sound stopped. But that night, every man on the team woke to the same dream. Monks walking through water, chanting, faces pale, eyes hollow. Every single one of us heard the same words, "We are not finished." The following week, the excavation was quietly halted. In 2011, so this was recent, a tourist from Zurich recorded a short video near the old wall. The footage shows nothing but darkness, but a low rhythmic sound repeats in the background. And experts who allegedly analyzed it said that the pattern matched a medieval Gregorian chant in minor key. The voice allegedly was not human. It registered at a frequency outside normal range. Now, a cafe owner in Bellinzona named Elena Rossi told a visiting historian in 2018, this is what she said: "I live 2 streets from the old site. Some nights you can hear bells." Thank you. Not the church ones. They sound older, heavier, and sometimes you'll see the light upon the hill like candles. She says, "My grandfather told me when the lights appear, stay indoors. He said they mean the monks are walking again." That's pretty cool. Yeah. "This man is not a Roman Catholic bishop, just FYI. He blocks you when you point out that simple truth, which everything you need to know about him." Okay, Retro, let me go slower so that you can understand. We tell everybody the name of the church that I belong to. So I'll go slow. United States. Old Catholic Church. So, Einstein, it's pretty clear. But thank you so much for letting us know that. I had no idea. Oh, you're an Einstein, aren't you? Okay. Anyway, before I rudely interrupted. Okay, Retro, I appreciate you being rude and disrupting the entire presentation just because your butt hurt. All right, so it says, "I've seen them once, winter night." By the way, this was another local, Pietro. It's a retired postal worker. This is what he said. "I've seen them once, winter night, maybe 10 years ago. Looked like the shadows moving across the wall. Thought I was tired, but my dog saw them too. He froze, hair standing up, whining. Then the street light flickered out." Well, thank you. There we are. When it came back, they were gone. By the way, even now, local whispers of strange happenings like trolls, you'll see them slowly creeping up from the hole in which they came from. Anyway, but that's true. Local whispers of strange happenings on the anniversary of the monastery's destruction. Visitors report seeing light moving across the ruins. They see it a lot. It's pretty interesting. It is definitely, I think it's a beautiful place. Okay, all right, Roxy, we get it. Okay, go speak to your therapist. I mean, get over yourself. Anyway. No. Oh, let me just, let me take care of Retro Roxy, because Retro Roxy is There you go, Retro Roxy. Now you're blocked. Be blessed and be blocked. I'm sorry. I should have said be blessed and be blocked first, but I didn't. So just be blocked. Okay. All right. So Retro Roxy is retro. Here we go. I was rudely interrupted. It seems like the trolls it's like they just want to constantly disrupt. They are just sad little people. All right. So why would such an apparition occur? What is the meaning? So we know that in the medieval times, monastic houses were not only spiritual centers, but also places of power, land, refuge, sometimes in conflict. And the region of Bellinzona, commanding alpine passes, it was strategically vital. Castles, their monasteries, they stood guard. It's plausible that the monastery in question, may have suffered some atrocity, a plague, a battle, a betrayal, events that left souls bound to the stones. Some legends say that the monks vowed to pray for the passing of an invading force, perhaps. But the force turned on them. And others suggest that the monks made a secret pact, kept hidden in a crypt beneath the cloister to protect the town. And when the promise was broken, the monks' spirits returned to keep their vigil forever. I'm not really for sure about that. That's a theory. It's an interesting theory, but I'm not really, I don't know. It would be interesting to find out, though. I've never been. Someone's asking, I've never been there. No, I think it would be fascinating to go to that location. Just for the historical aspects of it alone. Good grief. Go away, troll. Let me report this person for harassment. By the way, constant harassment is actually against the law. I guess you probably don't know that. Okay. There we go. And done. Okay. All right. Always got to ruin things. I'll tell you what. All right. Yeah, it's toxic. It's toxic. It's just people who, excuse me for, and then we'll get back to the presentation. You're trolling clergy on a Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Your life must really suck. Go take a walk. Go watch a movie. You're trolling clergy on Friday night. That's sad. That's something today. Okay. Now, others suggest that the monks made a secret pact, kept hidden in a crypt beneath the cloister to protect the town. When the promise was broken, the monks' spirits returned to keep their vigil forever, allegedly. We can't prove these, but the historical records are silent or else lost in the worn parchments of the time. What remains is the legend, the experience, the code, the quarter, the chant, people's experiences. Perhaps the apparition is a warning, a remembrance, or perhaps it's the echo of something unresolved. Some have speculated that the monks appear to protect the town from spiritual danger. Others, we don't know. Yeah, it must be you. And what of the loom passage of time? Well, a medieval witness might have understood the apparition or as divine or demonic. A modern one may seem fear, fascination. We just simply don't know. The fear remains. So if you just think about this, the stairs are very narrow, carved stone, centuries of wear. And then, of course, you go inside this crypt door. Candles flicker, though no one is there to light them. The air holds a murmur. Shadows move across the walls. How many of you would actually would you actually go there? Because a lot of people wouldn't. What does one do with such an experience like this? Really? Oh, you would go. Oh, that's pretty cool. Hey, you know what? Slashbind says, I'd go, but only with you. I think that would be, I would go. I mean, the apparition of the monks in Bellinzona brings together two primal forces. It is the sacred and the terrifying. And voices of whispered in cloisters, stone laid by mortal hands, all now haunted by memory. So for you, my friends, the takeaway is not necessarily the truth of what happened, but the feeling, the cold corridors, the faint chant, the sense of being watched. It invites a reflection. What in our own lives remains unfinished? What promises echo in silence? What monks of your own might be keeping vigil in the darkness? And as night deepens outside your window, remember this: the world is older than we like to admit. And the stones around us, the halls we pass, may hold echoes of time when faith and fear were woven tight. So, my friends, the bell in the tower is still, the cloister is silent again, but you remain aware. You sense a presence at the edge of your hearing. Perhaps you will dream tonight of archways, chanting voices, figure in hooded habits. Now, I'd like to leave you with this one final image for this presentation. The moonless courtyard. The fountain stilled, statues worn by centuries of wind and stone, and there, just in your line of sight, the monks stand. Two straight lines, their faces obscured, their hands folded in prayer. For a moment, they raise their heads in unison. Their voices rise, but you hear only the echo in your mind, and then they turn and walk through the archway in a corridor that grows darker with each step until the last monk disappears. The gate swings shut behind them and silence remains. Say, hopefully, your night will be calm, but if you hear a distant bell at midnight, maybe it isn't the wind. Maybe it is a hidden choir rising once more. You know, this is this location and the stories behind it are absolutely amazing. And when you dig deeper and deeper, I love stories like this. You know, one of the things with paranormal, I've been doing this for like, 22, 23 years. Sometimes when you do these shows, they get a little stale. I mean, I pretty much covered almost every single topic within the paranormal supernatural. But what I like to do is find topics and stories that you may have never heard before. Stories that are based allegedly in reality and that have some real spooky elements to them. And when you have stories like this, that's pretty fascinating. So that's what I always look for stories that a lot of people have never heard of. And then you give the presentation, you do the research, you start digging about what people wrote about it. It's pretty cool. So yeah, it's not a secret that, I would love for you to submit topics. Yeah, David. Oh, look at you masquerading as a priest. Oh, look at you masquerading as an intelligent person. Okay. The trolls are out tonight, aren't they? Look at that. Boy, I tell you what. Let's see. Vicky's a little upset. All right. But it's pretty cool. It is pretty cool. Now, those are cool stories when you learn a little bit more of the history. And they're fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Okay. So, yes, if you have topics that you would like for me to do like a presentation on, I would absolutely love to see what you have. The best way is go to my website and then scroll down to where it says official social media links and click on the book to the face. Click on the book to the face. Okay. And then there we go. A Vatican proof of what? And then if you send me, that's the best way to do it. And then send me topics. I would absolutely love to see what you guys come up with. Okay. Right. Did you say something about the Pope and aliens last night? I did. I did. Someone is asking about the. Well, yeah, Dr. Campbell, the trolls are proving that demons are at and they're in overdrive tonight, but that's okay. Okay, we gotta have you gotta toy with them for a little while, and then it's like, okay, go shoot, crawl back to the hole where you came from. But let me find this. This is really interesting. 1 second, everybody. I'm going to find this for you. A lot of people don't understand that the Big Bang was, you do realize it was a Roman Catholic priest who created the concept of the Big Bang. I guess some people don't know. Do you also know that the Vatican has a massive astronomy? Yeah, I mean, they have a huge department there. And one of the priest, I'm trying to find it. The priest actually said, the Roman Catholic priest, that if aliens exist, he would have no problems whatsoever. No problem with, with the sacrament of baptism. I thought, well, that's pretty interesting. I'm trying to find it, but of course. Okay. Anyway, nonetheless. How would you describe a demon? Fallen but unconfined angel. Demons are fallen angels. That is exactly what they are. Okay, so we're going to get into some really cool topics now. We're going to get into some really interesting articles that I found, and I want to share some of those things with you guys. A cloister is a group of people that live together. So, yeah, like nuns, they live in cloisters. Sometimes, most of the time they do, but unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of nuns left, which is a shame. All right, I'm trying to find this, so bear with me while I do this. Because if I could, that would be really cool. I don't know why I can't find this stupid thing. Okay. All right, so I'm going to talk about this. Let's go into this. This is a very interesting article that I found that I want to share with you. One of the many articles. Some do. Some nuns still live in cloisters. I know some nuns who live in cloisters. So, am I a real priest? Okay. An apparition, for those of you who don't know, an apparition this is by T.K. Randall, was picked up on CCTV outside a medieval Chester castle. Something strange was wandering the grounds of one of England's most intriguing historic castles recently. As part of the year's Halloween season celebrations recently, English Heritage, which manages hundreds of historic sites, monuments and buildings across England, has shared a still image that was captured by a motion-activated CCTV camera outside Chester Castle in Cheshire. I'm telling you, this is a really cool if you have not seen this. So upon being alerted to the presence of someone or something on the site, a security guard went to investigate but found nobody at all. And while he was attending the scene, his dog became scared, refused to move. A full search was then carried out on the whole building, but there was no sign of anyone. The castle itself has long been home to stories of paranormal encounters ranging from sounds of ghostly piano music to sightings and trolls, mysterious figures evaporating into mist. At least half of the staff working there have had some sort of unexplained experiences, like a troll saying something intelligent. Anyway, chilling tales of returning dead have been told since the dawn of recorded history and provide a way of understanding our relationship with the dead and the past, said curator Dr. Michael Carter. Very interesting. If you've not taken a look at that, you might want to check this out. This is crazy. Yeah, this is really neat. And I want to share this one. Sorry, this one's well, Well, where it came from originally, certainly, but someone was asking me about what is a demon. A demon but is a fallen but unconfined angel. Oh, the Bible is written so many times. How do we know that the Bible is actually true? Well, that is a very, very, very good question. We've actually addressed this in quite some time. A lot of people get a little bit confused about the Bible. I'll be more than happy to address that in just a second, but let me share this real quick. Yeah, tonight is our Paranormal Friday. We're here every single, well, except for Saturday. Yes. Okay. Goodness gracious. There's a lot of anger tonight. Have you guys noticed this? Was I ordained? Yes, I was ordained. I received my minor orders in the Roman Catholic Seminary, and then I was ordained to the diaconate, presbyterate, and consecrated to the episcopacy. So, yep, we do have valid apostolic succession. I have 110-page documentation showing my apostolic succession, and I'm a member of Order of Corporate Reunion that validates individuals' apostolic succession. Okay. All right, let's go into it. I'm trying to find this one thing for you. Who cares? All right, listen to this story. Yeah, must be something in the air. Okay, this is TK Rand, writes 58 years on the Shag Harbor. Well, thank you. The Shag Harbor UFO incident continues to intrigue. So the incident involved sightings of an unidentified object, followed by an extensive search and rescue operation. This was in 1967. Multiple witnesses reported a strange spectacle. Mysterious object had seemingly descended from the sky a short distance from Shag Harbor, small fishing village situated along the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia. Now, the object described by some as rectangular in shape with 4 bright lights, and was also seen from Air Canada Flight 305. That's pretty cool. As well as by other witnesses in the general area. The plane's captain and first officer reported seeing a rectangular object that maintained a parallel course for several miles. See, this is, when we get reports like this is intriguing, because these are professional. These are pilots. They are very analytical. They are very methodical. And when pilots are reporting these things, it makes me kind of like, well, I want to know more about this. So the plane's captain and first officer reported seeing a rectangular object. And according to reports, the object was last seen entering the water off Shag Harbor, with some witnesses claiming to have seen it floating on the surface for a short time before sinking. Concerted effort, search and rescue operation was undertaken, involving the police, the Coast Guard, multiple civilian fishing vessels, even the Canadian Navy divers. Ultimately, no trace of the object was ever found. That is, so you remember the story? Wendy, do you live in this area? A lot of people have said that they are absolutely convinced that this was a UFO. Oh, you do? Oh, wow. I will briefly address the question about the Bible. I haven't forgotten about it. What about parasites? Well, yeah, they're called trolls. Now, listen to this. This is fascinating. For those of you who want to talk about the Bible, saying the Bible is not reliable because of all the translations, I get it. I understand it. But there's a logic behind it. There are 400,000 differences between the ancient manuscripts, by the way, that the English Bible and the English Bible translated from. So the question is how can anybody truly believe and trust what the Bible says is accurate? Well, that's fair. The number is correct, but it's not that big of a deal as you might actually think. There are 24,000 ancient New Testament manuscripts in various languages. Approximately 6,000 of those manuscripts are in Greek, which was, by the way, the original language of the New Testament was written in. And these 6,000 manuscripts basically equates to 2.5 million pages of Greek text. Look, ultimately, when you break it all down, the biblical scholar Daniel Wallace noted that of these 400,000 differences, 75% of them are simply spelling errors. 25% our word order changes, but doesn't actually change the meaning of the text. And only less than 1% actually change the real meaning of the text, which means that these 2.5 million pages of Greek text are 99.984% similar in what they convey. And by the way, very quickly, if you don't mind, in the Protestant books, there are 66 books in the Old Testament as written over a 1,500-year time span. Do you understand how long 1,500 years is? If you go back to 1,500 years right now, we're at what, 15 or whatever it is, and there hasn't even been a British Empire. 66 books in the Protestant books written over 40 writers from 3 different continents and 3 different languages. These writers were very diverse. Shepherds to kings, many of them lived in different generations. They didn't know what the other guy wrote. They didn't have the internet or Wikipedia back then, but you put them all together and magically you get a perfectly harmonized book. You realize how impossible that is? That's like looking at 40 different writers, all a 1,500-year span, and saying, write a chapter of a novel and putting the whole together again, and after 15 years, it makes sense. But it gets even better. If you look at the Old Testament, the Protestant Bible has 39 books written over a 1,100-year span. And the last book in the Old Testament was written 400 years before Jesus was even born. So you get the 39 books written by all these different authors for over 1,100 years, many of them living in different generations, by the way. And yet knowing somehow what the other guy wrote, do you know what they did? They made predictions about the Messiah. Things that would, like, I don't know, ride in Jerusalem on a donkey. He would be betrayed by a friend. He would be born in Bethlehem. He would be called out in Egypt. He would be sold for 30 pieces of silver. He would be crucified. They had made over 300 predictions in the Old Testament. That's pretty fascinating. Dr. Peter Stoner, who is an expert in probability, probability means that it's like a mathematician. You put 10 tennis balls in a bucket and you paint one yellow. Well, what are the chances of you picking out the yellow ball? Well, Charles, I'll go slower. That's 1 in 10. Okay. So anyway, he's an expert. And so he actually wanted to know, what is the probability that anyone could fulfill the prophecies in the Old Testament? He's an expert, by the way, in mathematics. So if you're not, you really, Anyway, he employs 600 science students from 12 different classes and months of years of research. And the National Scientific Council reviewed their work. The National Scientific Council said not only was their work accurate, it was perfect. So the question was asked, what are the chances that any human being from the time of the birth of Christ until today could fulfill just 8 of the prophecies in the Old Testament? 8. Christ is to be born in Bethlehem. Christ is to be preceded by a messenger, John the Baptist. Christ is to enter Jerusalem on a donkey. Christ is to be betrayed by a friend. Christ is to be sold for 30 pieces of silver. Christ to be silent before his accusers. Christ to be unalived by crucifixion. And they asked, well, what's the chance that any human being could fulfill just 8 of those prophecies in 2,000 years? Do you know what the answer was? Well, trolls, let me go slow. The chance of any one man or person might have lived down to the present time, fulfilled 8 prophecies, is 1 in 10 to the 17th power. Oh, Colin, you can't be a normal human being. I know I'm speaking fast, so I'll go slower for you, even though you're blocked. That's 1 in 10 to the 17th power. That one person could fulfill just 8 prophecies in the Old Testament. Do you know that's 10 to the 17th power? I mean, that's 1 and 17 zeros behind it. If you had that many silver dollars, you'd have no place to store them. That's how enormous the number is. You could spread the silver dollars over across the state of Texas and would have 2 feet deep of those silver dollars covering the entire state of Texas. Jesus fulfilled all 8 prophecies. But what about 16 prophecies? Okay, well, the answer is even more astonishing. Remember, Dr. Stoner is a mathematician. So what are the possibility of any person actually fulfilling the prophecies? 16. That's 1 in 10 to the 10 to the 45th power. 10 to the 45th power. That's a number 10 with 45 zeros after it. Well, what about 48 prophecies? That's 1 and 10 to the 157th power. Excuse me. Jesus fulfilled all 300 prophecies. Okay. Okay. Now, the firmament is, I love how people take the firmament. My friends, We were talking about a 3,000-year-old society that did not understand the universe, that did not understand the solar system. They did not have, unfortunately, they did not, satellites, rockets. And so the idea, their ideology that, of course, the earth was flat comes from individuals who had incredibly limited knowledge in science and astronomy, which would make sense. So they were trying to make sense from what they've seen of the heavens. The firmament, why are people taking the firmament and pretending that the firmament is science today? That's just like, you're taking a concept 3,000 years ago and you're trying to apply it today. After 3,000 years of advanced technology, the earth isn't flat. I'm sorry to please take the tinfoil hats off. Remove them. The earth is round. We know this. Oh, no. It's fun. Fun. Okay, listen to this. That is interesting. There's another story that I want to share with you guys. The misshaped potato. It's a misshaped potato. Just like that one time that the earth, that they thought that the moon was cheese, made out of cheese. Cheddar? Parmesan? American? Come on, people. Okay, this is a real fascinating. TK Randall Wright says, a black shape shifting UFO over Texas may not be quite what it seems. Swiss cheese, yeah. So a sighting of a strange object recently submitted to new FORC has been raising eyebrows this week. Gliding silently across the skies of Trenton, Texas at around 8 p.m. on September the 8th, this peculiar object might seem at glance like the perfect example of an unidentified object. Making no sound as it passed overhead, the object seemed to change shape. First resembling a pyramid shape, then changing to something more closely resembling some kind of aircraft. Quote, it came over trees approximately 100 feet, the witness told the National UFO Reporting Center. It looked like the entire edge of it was illuminated or pulsating light. It was still daylight, so it was hard to tell. It was moving relatively slow at approximately 20 to 30 miles per hour. There was absolutely no sound coming from the object. It looked like it was changing shapes. So could this be the evidence of alien visitors? Well, the most likely explanation in this particular case is that the UFO is actually little more than a black trash bag floating on the wind, or perhaps a helium balloon made from a trash bag. Anyway, this explains why it changes shapes and make no noises. Plastic bags and other debris account for quite a large number of UFO sightings owing to their unusual shape, especially when viewed from a distance, and the fact that they don't make any sound. Well, in all likelihood, this one UFO case can be quite easily put to bed or in the trash. It is a trash bag. This really caused a lot of people were pretty worried about this. No, friends, it was, there's nothing there. Okay. Swamp gas. Yeah, absolutely. But I think sometimes people get a little bit too weirded out by this, and you have to say, it's okay. You know, it's a trash bag. Look, I absolutely believe that there's something else out there. I am a believer that there is alien life. I do. I believe this. But I also think people go to the extreme, sometimes to the real extreme, and we got to be careful with that. Because if we don't, well, then that's a big problem. Okay. Boy, there's a lot of people being blocked and muted on TikTok tonight. My gosh. Don't you have something? Go watch a movie. Do you not have Netflix? I mean, good grief. Okay. I don't want to do this because that's stupid. No, I guess not. Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? Personally, I think when you break all these down, a lot of the UFOs, yeah, I do believe that there is alien life. We don't know what it is, but I do believe that there's something there because there's too much information. There's too many people reporting this. Too many people are reporting this. And not only that, but I think when you have pilots, as I said, when you have pilots that are reporting this, that makes me really pay attention. Oh, and by the way, AI is getting cray. Listen, have you heard of this story? This is really. Oh, yeah, absolutely. God created the other worlds. Yeah. There's a robot that was so realistic. Thank you. It was so realistic that the firm had to actually cut it open on stage to prove that it was a real robot. Listen, this is by TK Ranner writes this, a demonstration of the Jinping iron humanoid robot recently left people unable to believe that it was even a robot. It's developed by a Chinese electric vehicle manufacturer. The robot, autonomous patrols means you have complete free will. I have to explain. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. It's a bipedal humanoid. For those in Kentucky, bipedal means two legs. Is being positioned as a direct competitor to Tesla's Optimus. Now, it was demonstrated recently at the company's AI Day, where audiences got the chance to observe its incredibly life-walking motion firsthand. Now, unexpectedly, however, its movements proved so realistic that many people actually questioned whether it was even a robot at all, instead accusing the firm of rolling out a human wearing a robot suit instead of an actual working machine. Well, keen to shut down these rumors, the firm made the decision to bring the robot back out on stage, cut it open in front of a live audience to prove that it was indeed genuinely a robot. According to Jinping, the robot's incredibly fluent walk, and it really is, it's pretty impressive. Walking motion is down to its unique AI, which enables it to physically react to its surroundings. It is also covered by a tightly synthetic skin that makes it appear more organic, which covers up assembly and artificial muscles, flexible bones, and synthetic spine. Now, overall, it says it's capable of 2,250 trillion operations per second. That's insane. That's insanity. 2,250 trillion operations per second. In the future, robots will be life partners and colleagues, said the firm's CEO. Says, I suspect that just like when you buy a car, you can choose different colors, exteriors, interiors. In the future, when you buy a robot, you can choose the sex, the hair length, the clothing for your desired purpose. This, I don't care. What is that? What is that television show called? HBO. It had Anthony Hopkins. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? What I'm referring to? I can see it. No. It's a Westworld. That's it. Westworld. Friends, if you have not seen Westworld, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. In my opinion, we are moving directly to that reality. I really believe that. If you've not seen it, yeah, I agree. The season 1 was the best. I kind of lost interest in as it progressed. I was like, no. Westworld. Now, I will tell you, it is an adult-oriented show, so kids should not be watching it. But it really does. It opens your eyes, especially now because AI AI is becoming so advanced that now Westworld, it's going to happen. I believe it's inevitable. It will happen. And that to me that's concerning. That is concerning. I think anytime you have like a Westworld, a domestic engineer, guys, I think it's going to happen. I don't think it's a matter of if. I do think it's a matter of when. And I don't know. The problem is when it becomes autonomous. So, and if you believe in God and always say nothing can touch you. See, this is the thing. When you're dealing with AI, my issue with AI is that it's going to become so advanced that we will become the inferior. Now, if you want to think of Terminator, that's fine. But I think that AI can, to me, it's, I'm not a fan of it. I'm just not. I see everything, eventually, everything is going to move into a direction where AI will control it. Your money, your ID, your health records, it's all going to go electronic. Whether you like it or not, it's inevitable. Paper money eventually is going to go away. I do believe paper money will go away. And that is very concerning. Thank you, University. So I'm not a big fan of this. I think that it makes me very uncomfortable. Right? Yeah. All right. Listen. Now, of course, I think for me, I think in my time, I'm in my 50s, so I think that I probably won't live to see that. But I do worry about the younger generation and AI, because I just don't see it. It's a problem. I don't like it. I don't like it. But listen to this. TK Rayner writes this: a Texas woman spots a Loch Ness monster in the latest 2025 sighting. After this, we'll answer some of your questions, and then we'll I have a lot of articles. So it's become something of a tradition for visitors to Loch Ness, which contains more water than all the lakes of England and Wales combined, to glance out over its murky surface in the hope of catching a glimpse of its most famous resident, the Loch Ness Monster. The latest such sighting, which was reported on October 28th at around 2:45 p.m., comes from Michonne Milk from Texas, who had been visiting this castle at the time. And according to the official Loch Ness Monster sighting register, she described seeing something resembling a head emerging from the water that seemed to belong to a much larger creature. She said, quote, "I first saw it and was like, wow, that looks like the images I saw from the sightings website. It didn't look like a wave. It actually looked like the head of something popping up. It made a distinct pattern in the water. Couldn't see anywhere else, kind of like its own wake. And then it was gone. And from that distance, I say the water pattern was about 3 meters long. Sadly, as is often with the case with such sightings, there's no way of knowing exactly what it was that she saw. While she did take a photograph, it's so blurry and indistinct that it's impossible to make out. Again, something not uncommon due to the images being captured from very, very far away. Anyway, this is the 5th official sighting of 2025. And with the end of the year closing fast, it will most likely, maybe be the last. I don't know about the, oh, absolutely. Yeah, Rachel, I've been preaching that for 23 years. Not messing with the devil. I don't know if you're new here, but I'm quite vocal about that. And I get a lot of hate because of that. Like, for example, playing with Ouija boards. All right. If you have some questions regarding the paranormal, demonology, more than welcome to throw them out there. But again, I have lots and lots of articles that we normally never get to because we're so busy. So this is nice to be able to get through these articles and go from there. Okay. Yeah, Ouija boards are not a good idea. Stay away from them. Oh, you have a haunted doll story. Oh, I have friends. Willie Windwalker is a medium. I know he's very, very gifted. So here's the deal with, look, I've talked about tarot cards before. I am not, this is just me. I'm not here. I'm not going to act like I'm someone's parent, because I'm not. I don't use Ouija. I don't use tarot cards. I'm not going to put my faith in tarot cards, because I choose my future, not tarot cards. So for me, and this is my perspective, I'm not going to put my faith in a random deck of cards that are shuffled and somehow they tell you your future. My future is not determined by cards. My future is determined by my free will. Okay? All right. You were haunted for 3 months. Wow. There's a lot of people talking about haunted items now. That's a real big thing going on. Look, and it's always the dolls. Well, I understand. Yes, there are some legitimate that are, but I would say stay away from these things. There's a lot of people collecting these stuff, and you really don't know what you're collecting. So, thank you, there, Sage. Thank you. So be careful about collecting these. People are buying these things, and then they wanted, they contact me and say, "Look, I bought this thing from an online auction site, and I'm having some violent activity in the home." And I'm like, "Well, why did you buy it in the first place?" I wanted to see if it was real. See, the problem here, let me just make this very clear. When you buy things that are allegedly haunted online, you don't know the backstory. You have no idea if somebody did something that they should not do to try to curse that particular object, so that when you get it, paranormal activity occurs, just so that you can give them a 5-star rating. Unfortunately, things like that that's happened. So you got to be, oh my goodness. There was several years ago, I've been in the paranormal for 35 years. Several years ago, on a particular auction site, an individual was selling demon boxes. That's what they called it, demon boxes. They had all kinds of ridiculous things, little vial of water and vial of oil and all this other nonsense. And they set it right on the auction, right on they made it very clear. They will use the Ouija board to summon a demon, each demon's name. So they say, okay, they use the Ouija board, would summon this demon. They go down the list and they say, that's the demon that's in this box. The box were like $20 a piece. They sold 40,000 units. And that was but people bought them. So, yeah, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. 40,000 units. That's $800,000. So they made a tremendous amount of, but that's what they did. They went down the list. They started with A, and they went up the list of all the demons, and they played with the Ouija board. We're trying to summon this demon. Please, get in this box, because they were selling demons and people bought them. People bought them. Well, it's a business idea that has very, very dangerous consequences. Okay. So let me just say this very, very clear, because I've answered the question many times about psychic mediums. I know a lot of people who claim to be psychic mediums that are as psychic as my dog. My dog is in heaven. But I also know people that are legitimate. 100%. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. For those of you, and I've said this before, for those of you who say, they're all demons, they do the work of the demon, they do the work of the demon. I'll tell you a very quick story, because we need to tone down the judging. So I was a chaplain for a major Metropolitan Police Department. They had asked me to be on the scene because allegedly a medium had contacted the police and told them where they would find the remains of a missing person. The family, by the way, hold on, I'm answering a question so I can't answer another question. The family of this missing person was very, very against mediums. I mean, mediums are the devil. They're all the devil. They're the devil. They're the devil. Well, this medium gave free information to the police where they could find the remains of their loved one. I was there. I saw it. And I've said this a million times before. They found the remains of this person 5 feet from where the medium said they would find it. 5 feet. And people say, well, that was demons. Demons will not give you peace of mind. Demons take your peace of mind. They steal your peace of mind. The family had to reevaluate, which I think was a shame. But the family had to reevaluate their thoughts on psychic mediums because they were able to receive something from this psychic medium. It's like, so when you benefit from it, then all of a sudden now your perspective changes. That's kind of selfish. Why does it take that before you start thinking, well, maybe there's something there? So, but now their whole perspective changed, and that gave that family closure because they were able to bury their loved one. So I get kind of exhausted from the people who pass judgment. But yet, if it was your family that you had found the remains of, well, then all of a sudden, then that's okay. It's very selfish to me, very self-centered. So anyway, but I was there. I saw it. I witnessed it. And, the family's perspective then completely changes. So, Reiki. Yeah, so I did hospital chaplaincy, and there was a woman, well, she was a nun, and she came in and she asked if I would have an objection with her doing Reiki. And she was a nun. She was a Roman Catholic nun. No, I mean, no issues. She did Reiki. The person they were struggling, breathing. It was laborious. And she started doing Reiki, and the person just started calming down. So I don't know. I'm not trained in Reiki, but I saw it. So, what that means, I'm not for sure. Yeah, I'm actually very good friends with Chip. The only thing with Chip, he's been having some health issues, but I'll contact him and chat with him. Now, Chip does not do readings online. So, I mean, like you have him as a guest, he won't do readings online. That's because he believes in you do that private. What's that? So. You know what, guys? Here's the deal. I have no problems with stones. I love stones. Amethyst. Absolutely beautiful. More beautiful. Now, if I need healing, do I go to these stones or do I go to Christ? I'm not putting my faith in stones. Do I believe they have energy? Everything has energy. It's made by God. Of course, absolutely. And I think they're beautiful to acknowledge and see because that's the beauty of creation. But no, I'm not going to put my faith in stones as far as healing. I put my faith in Christ. Those are absolutely beautiful to look at and to think that we have a God that made something so beautiful as those. But that's what I do. When I go to healing, I go to God. Crystal skulls, yes, I've actually seen one. I've seen one of them. There's only 7. And I've actually seen one of them, the real one. It was at a paranormal conference and they had it. And I actually think there were 7 that were actually made that are known. 5 or I can't remember, 5 or 7, but I actually saw one of them. Okay. No, I was not present in the demon house in Gary, Indiana. Nope. Yep, 7. That's what I thought. Yep. So I actually saw one. It was pretty. I mean, look, they're. It was actually a lot smaller than what I thought it would be. But okay. Okay, Mary. Well, hello there, Deborah. Let's see. Can you tell by touching as an object if it's possessed? Objects are not possessed. Demons don't possess objects. Demons possess people. It's an attachment. So, for example, I wouldn't say I'm perfect. And well, when it comes to church Latin, certainly, but not if I have a conversation. There's so many questions on so many different topics. Oh yeah, okay. So items are not possessed. Items have demonic attachment. So like the doll that I have, no question has a demonic attachment. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's the doll that was featured on Eli Roth Presents a Legion of Exorcists show that I'm a cast member on. That doll, no doubt at all, there's a demonic attachment. You don't need to touch it to know that there is a demon that's attached to it. You don't need that. As a matter of fact, recently, I did have the opportunity to see Annabelle. There is a demonic that's attached to Annabelle. You can absolutely feel it. There's no question at all. There she is right behind me. That's the real Annabelle. And there it is. Yeah, Annabelle, you can feel that. You can absolutely. Now, I knew Lorraine. I was friends with Lorraine. I did not know Ed. Lorraine did not like Annabelle. She did not like her at all. But you absolutely felt the evil with Annabelle. So you don't need to, you don't need to touch an object to know that there is a demonic that is attached to it. You just know. You just know. Okay. Yep, I do. No, I don't own the Annabelle doll. I was there. So it was doing its tour. I know Father Bob, who is a Roman Catholic, a retired Roman Catholic priest who traveled with Annabelle. And I know Ryan Buell, friends with both of them. And so I stopped by because I was doing a presentation at Scarefest. And I went in there and, Catholic can't be a normal human being. And so, imagine. And so I got to see Annabelle. The doll that I own is a doll. It's not Annabelle. It's a very odd story. Maybe I'll do a presentation on haunted items again and bring some of my items that I've never shown. I've shown a lot already, but to Jim Jones Church, 100% Monstar. Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely. Yep. For the purpose of enticement. Like, for example, the doll that I have, if you see the show, Eli Roth Presents Legion of Exorcists, it shows that doll. That doll, I don't like taking it out of its case. There is no question something is evil. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I might do that next week. Oh, yes. Yeah, Lisa. Yeah. Because I bind it. You bind it to that item. I've seen Robert the doll. Can you get rid of an attachment? Yes. Yeah, Lorraine she was a sweetheart. Yeah, I did not know Ed, though. I didn't get to know Ed. Why would the church ever release videos of exorcisms? It's not entertainment. That is a person who's gone through extreme trauma. A person who's possessed has gone through extreme trauma. That's not something you post online so people can grab their popcorn. That's an abomination. I don't understand that. That's someone's family member. That's someone's child. That's someone's mom or brother or sister. Like you're doing now. When have you ever seen, I have performed 33 exorcisms. Tell me now when you've ever seen me air one of them. Go on, I'll wait for you, troll. Come on. Tell me when. Oh, that's right. Anyway. They should never do that. And anybody who thinks that you should, the church should show that, should be ashamed of themselves. I mean, that to me, that you would actually want to watch this for entertainment. Well, I tell you what. Yeah, that's a different world. Oh, McJunior, too bad you're a McNut. Okay. Yes. Yeah, Tony, we do. That's right. Yeah, that's right. All right, for those of you listening to this on podcast, I'm going to say goodnight to you guys. Yeah, so the presentations, this will be on podcast. Yeah, I mean, really, it's just kind of, guys, the trolls don't get to me. I can't tell you how many times I'll never accept their criticism because I wouldn't go to them for advice. They don't get to me. That implies that they have more than 2 brain cells. All right. Don't forget, everybody, that we have our night prayer coming up at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Boy, there's a lot of people that's being blocked. Man, a lot of people. Stay with me, TikTok. I'm not going anywhere. We're just going to say good night to all of our other social media platforms. Remember, so we'll be here this Sunday for Bible study at 8 o'clock. And then we'll be here 10 o'clock for night prayer. Thank you. And we have night prayer Monday through Friday, by the way. Sister Tracy Ann prays the rosary, which is Monday through Saturday. Yeah, go to the church's website and click on the rosary link. Charles, you won't be there because your head will spin. But nonetheless, everybody else, you're more than welcome to join us. And yeah, we'll be rocking and rolling then next week. So hang tight with me, TikTok. Remember, I tell you all the time, your value does not decrease based on a troll's inability or refusal to see your worth. You're priceless, and don't let them tell you or convince you otherwise. We'll see you next week.